He stormed onto the silver screen like a force of nature, with messy hair, a crooked smile, and dark, manic eyes. Heath Ledger transformed the Joker into the most terrifying and haunting villain in cinematic history. That role catapulted him straight to the pinnacle of fame. But just months later, Heath was found unconscious in his New York apartment. He was only 28 years old. On the table lay bottles of sleeping pills, sedatives, and painkillers. The world was stunned. How could such a young talent, who had just reached glory, suddenly fall into death? People said Heath sacrificed his life to embody the Joker. That the endless days locked in a hotel room, the disturbing journals, the practice of manic laughter and grotesque voices had dragged him into the abyss of insomnia, paranoia, and despair. Some even believed the Joker himself killed him. But is that really the truth? Was it simply a medical accident? Or was it the curse of a role that escaped the screen and seeped into his real life? Today, we open the final door into Heath Ledger's world of shadows, where talent and tragedy collided, to confront the question, did the Joker really kill him? Heath Andrew Ledger was born on April 4, 1979, in Perth, a quiet coastal city in Western Australia. On the surface, his family looked happy. His father, a mining engineer, his mother, a French teacher. But behind those walls lay cracks. Heath's parents divorced when he was still very young. His childhood was marked by absence and constant moves, leaving behind a deep insecurity that he never truly escaped. Heath showed unusual talent early on. At just 10 years old, while classmates dreamed of being police officers or pilots, he wrote and directed a short play for his school. This wasn't child's play. Heath truly lived inside the character he created. A teacher recalled, "He had these strangely bright eyes. On stage, it was like the whole world around him disappeared. But with that talent came loneliness." At school, Heath was seen as different, a weirdo who loved playing roles and trying strange voices. Friends didn't understand him, and Heath retreated into his imagination. He spent hours alone in his room, scribbling dialogue into notebooks, practicing looks and smiles in the mirror. His parents' divorce left a void he tried to fill with art. He was especially close to his sister Kate, who constantly encouraged his passion for acting. Kate was the one who first brought him to auditions in Perth. Without her, perhaps the world would never have known a legendary Joker. Behind the smile of that 15-year-old boy were hidden wounds, the fear of abandonment, the insecurity of never feeling enough, and a burning desire for recognition. Those scars later became the driving force that pushed Heath to lose himself completely in his roles. At 17, Heath made a fateful decision, dropping out of high school to move to Sydney in search of opportunity. He told his friends, "I have to go. If I stay here, I'll wither away." It was his first turning point, a foreshadowing of a life forever haunted by both light and darkness. At 17, when Heath arrived in Sydney, he had nothing but a few clothes, some savings, and a naive belief that cinema could save his life. He crashed on friends' couches, went to endless auditions, and accepted roles so small that audiences barely remembered his name. But to Heath, each chance was a life or death battle. In 1999, the world first noticed him in 10 Things I Hate About You. With his mischievous smile and natural confidence, Heath instantly became a teen idol, but he hated that label. Friends recalled, he never wanted to be boxed in as just the handsome guy. He craved something darker, deeper. Hollywood soon offered him another chance. A Knight's Tale, 2001. His first leading role elevated him to A-list status. But with fame came suffocating pressure. Paparazzi swarmed him. Tabloids dissected every frown and date. Heath admitted, "I started feeling tracked. They looked at me like a product, not a person." Instead of choosing the safe path, Heath dove into riskier roles. The pinnacle came with Brokeback Mountain 2005, where he portrayed Ennis Del Mar, a quiet cowboy torn by forbidden love. The world was stunned by his performance, and it earned him an Oscar nomination. At the ceremony, the press called him the heir to Marlon Brando, a star with a rebellious heart and haunting eyes. Yet, as the world celebrated him, Heath grew fearful. He despised flashing cameras, lavish parties, and the crushing expectations of millions. He often walked out of interviews and fled red carpets in panic. Friends said Heath suffered from a fear of fame, a painful contradiction, craving recognition yet being crushed by it. Then came an invitation from Christopher Nolan, the role of the Joker in The Dark Knight, a villain infamous for his chaos, cruelty, and madness. Many doubted. Ledger, the romantic from Brokeback? How could he be Joker? But Heath knew. This was the role he had been waiting for his entire life. It was a turning point of destiny. From the dazzling light of youth, Heath chose to step into a darkness with no return. When Heath accepted the Joker, he knew he had to create something utterly different, a version no one had ever seen. He locked himself in a London hotel room for 6 weeks. No phone, no friends. Only a notebook, a few pencils, and a mind teetering on the edge of normalcy. In that notebook, Heath scribbled disturbing phrases, grotesque sketches, and violent clippings from newspapers. He experimented with laughs until even he scared himself. He birthed the Joker from the deepest shadows of his psyche. On set, the crew felt chills. Michael Caine recalled, "I forgot we were filming. Before me stood a real madman." But the cost was devastating. Heath developed chronic insomnia. He admitted in interviews, "My mind won't stop. It feels like it's spinning 1,000 miles an hour." To sleep, he turned to sedatives. When they failed, he increased the dosage. Night after night, Heath collapsed into pills, but never found true rest. His personal life crumbled. His love with Michelle Williams, the woman he adored and the mother of his daughter Matilda, fell apart. Heath moved alone to New York, isolated from family and child. Loneliness consumed him. Friends recalled nights where Heath called them just to sit in silence on the line. He couldn't bear being alone, but didn't know how to share his pain. Public pressure only deepened the wounds. Critics mocked him, a romantic boy, unfit for the Joker. Heath poured everything into proving them wrong. But the deeper he sank into the role, the more he lost himself. Nolan later admitted, Heath gave his soul to the Joker. He lived in the character, but I feared it took too much. Soon, Heath lived two parallel lives. By day, he was Joker, twisted, insane, a harbinger of chaos. By night, he was Heath, lost, drugged, broken. The line between fiction and reality blurred into a trap, and Heath could no longer find the way out. January 22nd, 2008. A freezing day in New York. Heath Ledger was found lifeless in his Soho apartment. Beside his bed, bottles of sedatives and painkillers. A friend discovered him, called for help, but when paramedics arrived, it was too late. Heath Ledger was gone at 28. The news hit like an earthquake. Hollywood froze. Headlines blared worldwide. Heath Ledger found dead. Everyone asked, how could an actor at the peak of his career vanish so suddenly? The coroner's report concluded, accidental overdose, a lethal mix of sleeping pills, sedatives, and painkillers. Medically, it was a tragedy of chance. But to the public, it was never that simple. Rumors spread that the Joker itself had killed him. People recalled his sleepless nights, his disturbing journals, the scrawled words, "Joker is here." Friends said he often confessed he couldn't escape the character. His total immersion had driven him to the edge, and when he reached for pills, that edge swallowed him whole. At his funeral, the sight of little Matilda, his daughter, not yet 3, holding her mother's hand before his photo, brought the world to tears. Michelle Williams, his former partner, said through sobs, "Heath was complicated, but to our daughter, He was just a loving father, ready to sacrifice everything. In the aftermath, tributes poured in. Johnny Depp, Colin Farrell, and Jude Law stepped in to finish his unfinished role in the Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus, a way to keep him alive one last time on screen. Christopher Nolan confessed, "When I think of the Joker, I don't see a character anymore. I see Heath Ledger." His death became one of Hollywood's most shattering tragedies, not just for its untimeliness, but for the haunting question it left behind. Did Heath Ledger die from an accident, or did the role itself consume his soul? A year later, Heath Ledger was honored at the 2009 Oscars. On Hollywood's glittering stage, his name was called as Best Supporting Actor for the Joker. The entire room rose in applause, but Heath's seat was empty. His parents and sister Kate accepted the golden statue on his behalf, their voices trembling. It was both triumph and heartbreak, a victory bought with his life. Heath's Joker became immortal in film history. From the raspy laugh to the deranged stare, every movement sent chills down spines. Many hailed it as the greatest performance of all time. Yet behind the brilliance, the world never forgot. Heath was only 28, a young man yearning for love, searching for peace, and lost in his battle against the darkness within. Perhaps the greatest sorrow is not that Heath died too soon, but that he never fully tasted the life he deserved. Like a shooting star, he blazed bright and vanished, leaving a haunting streak across cinema's sky. We may have loved the Joker, but beneath the mad paint and twisted grin, Heath Ledger was still just a man, fighting to be understood, to find sleep, and to be seen for who he truly was.